The concept of consumer protection. Consumer protection means safeguarding the interests and rights of consumers. In other words, it refers to the what all measures adopted for the protection of consumers from unscrupulous. Unscrupulous means without moral principles. Unscrupulous means without moral principles and unethical malpractices. Unethical malpractices mean not morally correct, immoral. Moral malpractices by the business and to provide them speedy redressal of their grievances. Redressal means compensation. Of their grievances means complaints. The concept of consumer protection means safeguarding the interests and rights of consumers. In other words, consumer protection refers to the what all measures adopted for the protection of consumers from unscrupulous and unethical malpractices by the business and to provide them speedy redressal of their grievances. Next is the Consumer Protection Act. The Consumer Protection Act in 1986 was enacted. Enacted means put into practice for better protection of the interest of consumers. This is for the better protection of the interest of the consumers. The provisions of Act came into force with effect from 15/4/87. Consumer Protection Act imposes strict liability. What is strict liability? Strict liability means the person is legally responsible for the consequences. That is strict Consumer Protection Act imposes strict liability. Strict liability means the person is legally responsible for consequences on a manufacturer in case of supply of defective goods by him and a service provider in case of deficiency in rendering of its services. Deficiency of rendering services means their services are not good. For example, if we call a taxi, they will not come at correct time. Then ask more money for hiring. That is the defective deficiency in services. The Consumer Protection Act was enacted for the better protection of interest of the consumers. The provision of Act came into force with effect from 15/4/87. Consumer Protection Act imposes strict liability on a manufacturer in case of supply of defective goods. Defective goods means the goods are not good quality or quantity, and food adulteration. And services provider means for example, we call a taxi, they will not come at right time and ask more money for hiring. Is the deficiency in the services. Then the act was passed in Lok Sabha 9th December 1986. This act was passed in Lok Sabha 9th December 1986 and came into force 1st July 1987. In Rajya Sabha, the act was passed 10th December in 1986 and passed by 24th December 1986 and published in Gazette of India 26 December 1986. The act was passed in Lok Sabha 9th December 1986 and came to force 1st July 1987. In Rajya Sabha, the act was passed 10th December 1986 and passed by the 24th December in 1986 and published in Gazette of India 26 December 96. Then the Consumer Protection Act in 2019. The objective. The Consumer Act 2019, the objective is to provide for better protection of the interest of consumers. Objective is to provide better protection of the interest of the consumers and provision of establishment of consumer council and other authority for the settlement of consumers disputes. According to 2019, the Consumer Protection Act, the objective is provide a better protection of interest of give protection to the consumers and provision of establishment of consumer council and give better protection to the consumers, establishment of consumer council and other authority for the settlement of consumers disputes. Disputes means quarrels. The authorities are the consumer council and authorities are district consumer dispute redressal forum in district, then in state consumer dispute redressal commission and in national consumer redressal commission. These are the consumer councils and authorities in 2019 Consumer Protection Act. The objective is to provide better protection of interest of the consumers and provisional establishment of consumer councils and authority for the settlement of consumers disputes. These council and authorities are district consumer dispute redressal forum in district, in state consumer dispute redressal commission and in the national consumer redressal commission. Under this act, consumer can complain in a redressal forum. According to this act, the consumer can complain in a redressal forum. Patients can also make a complaint to a redressal forum in respective of defective services provided. Under this act, the consumer can complain in a redressal forum. Redressal forum is a compensation forum. And in hospital, the patient also make a complaint to the redressal forum in respect of defective services provided. They get proper care and malpractices or negligence, they can complain to the redressal forum. Then Consumer Protection Act in 2020. On July 20th, 2020, the new Consumer Protection Act came into force. July 20th, the new Consumer Protection Act came into force, replacing the previous enactment of 1986. On July 12th, the new Consumer Protection Act came into force, replaced by the old Act in 1986. The new Act overhauls the administration and settlement of consumer disputes in India. The new Act overhauls means thorough examination. The new Act over the thorough examination, the administration and settlement of consumer disputes in India. It provides for strict penalties including jail for adulteration and for misleading advertisements. According to the new Act, it overhauls